So I'll be on this one and on this one. Okay, so we're gonna do lab 3 today, and we will get it done today. It's pretty quick. You can plug your drive in using the white or the black cable, depending on which drive you got. Here's a little bit. Stay co-hosts, and we will. Did I download this? I did. Okay, we're gonna look through the lab instructions and then you can follow along. If you're ahead, you can keep on working. And then if you need help, just let me know and I'll come and help you. So I'll just do some demo while we go through it, right? Just make a note, part B, you don't have to install Chrome. You can just download and install Edge. That's probably the fastest. But if you want to use Chrome browser, you can. I will walk you through, instead of doing logging into Canvas and log out, you can do that just like what we did in part A of lab 1. But what we can do is we can download it, put it on the USB, and then transfer it through the USB. So I don't want your credential to be compromised when you're dealing with these Trojans. So if you do log into Canvas, make sure that you log out and close your browser session, right? You don't want to leave your credential hanging in a session with these Trojans. So, all right. So we are, let's share screen. I want to make sure that I have. Okay. We're doing lab 3. So the first part is to plug in your USB. You will obtain, we have these black drives, right? Or the drive case. And you just take out the drive, plug it in. What you're going to do is you are going to open the drive up. It might not show as drive E, it might show drive D, depending on whether you plug in your USB or not, your personal USB, right? So it might show up as drive E or drive D as in David. Okay, so I already plugged in my drive and I simply click on the File Explorer here on the bottom of the taskbar, the little folder, and I'm going to go to this PC. And I should see the Toshiba. So it shows this drive D. We're going to double click the Toshiba drive. And on here, you would find the CIS27A forensic VM. You just need to drag this to your desktop. Okay, you can copy and paste it to your desktop, or you can simply drag it and put it on your desktop. So I can drag this to my desktop. And I already have done that, so I don't want to repeat that again, right? So I have it here, okay? So if you open your drive, you can just drag it to your desktop and it should be here. Once that's done, we're going to open up that folder, right? You're going to see these. Don't open the, if you have the, I didn't realize that I copied the compressed one with it. So some drive would have the compressed one. Do not play from the compressed, the one with the zip symbol. You are going to have a fatal error if you do that, right? We want to play, we want to open up, double click the one that doesn't have the zip symbol, the first one here. And then you're going to double click the blue icon file. Okay. So in the lab, it shows you how you can add it through the app. You can go through the step this way, or you can simply open up the non-compressed folder and of the CIS27A forensic image or virtual machine, and then double click the blue icon file, and it's gonna launch. Or it's gonna add your virtual machine to the playlist, like here. Okay? So I can do it this way, right? Like the lab, you would open up VirtualBox. You're gonna click the add symbol or the add icon button at the top. Go to your desktop, open up your Poppy folder, its subfolder, and then open up the blue icon file, click open. And it's going to mount. You notice that it tells me it cannot open it. So you cannot add two of the same virtual machine to the list. It doesn't like that, right? So once I add it, it's on my playlist right here, and I just click start. So you can double click the blue icon file, or you can add it through the app. That's two ways. Okay. So once you click start, it's gonna run. I already have the spec set up. It should have like a good amount of RAM. So part A is to get our virtual machine started. And then you're gonna log in. So once the Windows virtual machine booted, you're gonna log in, and we're gonna use everything inside this VM, right? Now, while it's doing that, in part B, I need to get the network traffic file that we're gonna analyze. So anytime that you deal with network traffic, you're gonna see that it is a PCAP file, okay? And notice that this file is zip for the purpose of download, right? Time. So we want to be able to download it quickly, so that why it's zip. So once you download it, you need to put it on your USB and then extract it. Okay. So once my Windows virtual machine is booted, I can close these little write prompt to give myself more room. And I would click inside here. We're going to log in, and the login password for this one is CIS27A for step 7. Okay, so I had installed all the application for you, right? But if you were to do this from scratch on your old virtual machine, I don't recommend doing malware analysis on a regular computer. If and then you want your virtual machine to not be connected to anything else either. But I had installed some of the forensic tool that we will be using in the future. Today, we're going to be using Wireshark. You already use Network Miner, right? I talked about ProDiscover. So you can find, this is the older version of ProDiscover. The new one, I think you have to pay. And then for Autopsy is another tool that we're going to use. So you can see that. All right. So once I have my virtual machine logged in, that finished part A, you can install Chrome, right? Sometimes it can crash your virtual machine if it's too much. But what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and open up Edge right here. And it's going to prompt me to maybe download Edge or install Edge. That's up to you. Okay. Now, remember that I have to get my capture from my analysis, right? So when you click this link, it's going to download. It's going to take you to my Google Drive, okay? And you are going to download your capture on your host machine, which is your outside computer, your regular computer. So we can click download. And then it tells me that, oh, it can't scan. That's the reason why I put it on the Google Drive. It can't scan it. We're going to download it anyway. Remember that this capture does contain malware, so you don't want it, So after you do this, you delete it, okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to save it as, I'm going to put it on the USB drive that you're currently using for your, you can have another USB drive if you want. So I'm going to click Save As, and I'm going to put it on the Toshiba drive, the school drive that I let you use for your virtual machine today. So again, I click download and it prompts me this little message right here. I'm going to go ahead and click save as, or if you have it on download, just put it on the USB drive and then find my Toshiba and then click save. The reason why I do this is I'm going to go ahead and mount the USB so that way I don't have to log into Canvas for the next few steps. Okay. So I put it on the USB. So I download it on the host computer, which is the outside computer. I put it on the Toshiba USB, the external hard drive. And then I'm going to come back to the virtual machine. Oh. And then click devices at the top. Click USB and click Toshiba. Okay. So this step, this option right here, right? You are going to download it. So I'm going to put your option. What we can do is we can download, right, the file to your host PC, save to USB drive, right? Then on VirtualBox, click Devices menu at the top, then select USB. Okay, so what do I mean? So once I save my capture to my USB go back to your VirtualBox, click Devices, USB, and then make sure my Toshiba is selected. There's a check. What that does is it allows my internal computer, my virtual machine, to be able to see the drive that I had saved the file to, right? So you can mount your USB for your virtual machine this way. Click Devices, USB, and select your Toshiba USB after you have downloaded the capture. Or you can go through and log into Canvas and download like what I said, right? Okay. So once I did that, right, I will open up my Toshiba. And I'm going to go ahead and drag, right, my capture file that I had downloaded. This capture file right here, the Wireshark quiz PCAP, I'm going to put it on the desktop. So we can open File Explorer, open Toshiba USB drive. Then copy, paste the PCAP file to the desktop. Up the VM. So that's an option for you if you don't want to do 8, 9, and 10, right? You still have to do 10 to download. So I downloaded on the outside, the host machine. I put it on the USB. I added the USB in my VirtualBox right here. You guys learned this when you mount the USB in the last lab, right? Select the Toshiba. And then I basically transfer the file through the USB into the virtual machine. Now, when you need the outside computer to access the USB drive again, right, go back to device and then uncheck that Toshiba drive to give it back to the host machine. Okay, got that? So this is like our last lab where we mount the USB. We learned that. Okay, so once you have your PCAP file in here, you're gonna right click, right? We need to click extract all. And then extract. And which step am I doing? 12. Now, as you extract, it's going to ask you for a password, and the password is all lowercase infected. So I had put my capture onto the USB, and then I transfer it to the desktop by mounting the USB. Then I right click, and then I extract all, and it's gonna give me the extracted folder here. Okay, so that was step 12. And in that process, you have to put in the password. Now I can open the capture. So how can we create this kind of capture? You just use Wireshark, and you would let it run for, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, an hour, 10 hours. And you would basically record your network traffic, and then you can play it back this way. So once you have your capture file, you can go back and look at your capture file. So inside your virtual machine, right? I can close this now. I'm gonna double click the Wireshark icon to launch the app. You don't have to install updates right now. We can close this prompt. We're gonna go to File, Open, and then go to the desktop. And we're gonna locate the extracted folder, right? We're gonna locate the extracted folder for the Wireshark capture file. Open that up and open up the Wireshark quiz, and it's gonna give you the traffic. Okay? Make sure that we extract it first, and then when we open up in the app, make sure we use the extracted version, not the compressed version. I said do not load the zip file, make sure it's extracted. Okay? Now you have to think about, when I wrote this, I think about, okay, I need to make sure that they know how to look for a certain type of traffic. If you haven't taken a networking class, I recommend, if you want to get into, incident response, network forensic, that kind of stuff. But just to kind of give you a quick overview, what we're looking for here is in this recorded capture of network activity, we're gonna try to find systems that are requesting, right, from web access, HTTP requests, right? HTTP is for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, that's for a web request. Or we're gonna use an operator or, so it's gonna look for this, or it's gonna look for the handshake for TLS. Now, when you use HTTPS, right, a secure website, when you log into it, TLS handle the session, and it needs to have a handshake, right, to be able to establish a secure session. So here, what we want to do is we're going to look for this, the HTTP request. We're going to look for TLS handshake, right? And we're going to look for this, right? And so when you use an AND operator, it's going to combine this and this. It's going to try to find this together, okay? And you're going to press the enter key. And you can type it, right? I don't think I have allowed copy and paste. So let me minimize this real quick. So here's your Wireshark. In your apply filter, this bar right here, what you're gonna do is you are gonna type in the criteria, this criteria, okay, with the parentheses and all, right, as all the bolded text, okay. So we're gonna do HC, and as you type, it's gonna have it's gonna give you option to kind of pre-fill requests. See, you can click on that. And then we're gonna add the OR operator, TLS dot handshake. Now you see that TLS, there's a lot of options. So we're gonna do a handshake dot type. And it's gonna be equal to 1. That's and not. I'm missing a parenthesis. That's why it's red. It shouldn't be pink. It should always be green if it agrees with your filter criteria and not SSDP. So these are protocols or rules that system use to have communication agreement, services established, etc. Now, when you put in your filter, if it shows up pink or red, that means that you still have a typo, right? You got to make sure that it's green like this. And then once that's done, you can press enter or you can click the blue arrow on the right. And basically, you're filtering out your search in the entry of your network capture. So at this point, take a screenshot. We can use Windows snip, right? Or you can use the alt print screen option and then just make sure. Now, when you print screen, just paste it to the lab document right away, right? Or you can save it. Make sure you save it somewhere you can find. So I just click copy and then I can paste it under here, right? Like that. Okay, so I use snip and then I just drag the rectangle to take the screen. And then I click the copy button on snip and then paste it. So it's going to filter out and it's going to show you the IP address. So when you look at it, the IP address is the 10.0.0.149. This is where this is the system that the traffic is from that's sending the request. And here are the receiving system. You notice that the TLS is listed here, right? We filter the TLS. So we want to put down the source IP address. So that will be your 10.0.0.149. Now, once we're here, we're going to click on one of the, let's say the first source IP address entry here. You can double click. And you're going to extend. So once you double click the first entry, it's going to open up the detail pane like this. You're going to click the Ethernet 2. Okay. Now it's going to tell you, so this is Ethernet 2, and it's actually looking at MAC addresses. So if you take networking, this is the frame area, right? So this is layer 2, so the frame, and then before it becomes a packet. So when it gets into the layer 3 and on, that will be when it's routing, so it becomes a packet at the layer 3. So here it's going to tell you, and if you understand MAC address, you would know that the first 3 bytes of the MAC address is dedicated to the vendor. So there's your Cisco information, so it shows you that it is a Cisco appliance, right? And then you simply record the MAC address. So what do I mean by the MAC address? When you look at it, it's the number, it's this number right here. In the parentheses, oh, that's the destination. The source MAC address is right here. So it tells me that the receiving system is a Cisco, the source system is an Intel core. That means that it has an Intel processor, and potentially that could be a PC, right? So put down that MAC address. And then what you can do is you're going to close after you record the MAC address. So this is the source MAC address, right? The IP address is the column. So when you look at it, it's the 10.0.0.149 number. That's the IP version 4. So what I'm showing you here is when you work with network capture and you're looking at traffic, you're going to see like which system is communicating, right? You have, and how do I know how to filter that? Well, we're gonna first look at web traffic, then we're gonna look at session for the web, which is TLS. So you can put it all in one filter criteria, right? So we can filter that out, and then we can start reporting the systems that are communicating. All right, then what we're gonna do next is we are going to also search for NBNS or SMB and SMB2. And I lecture on this in my networking class. Some of you are in it, right? So here, what we want is we're gonna look for additional information. So if you're doing network forensic, you have to be comfortable with protocols. You have to know them well, okay? First, we're gonna look for NetBIOS, and NetBIOS is a service that the system used to identify one another by name. It's kind of like you having a nickname at home. They call you Junior or whatever, right? But your legal name is not that, right? So it is a way that the system can see one another by name, right, in the network instead of an address. And it uses the name service NBS, okay? This is an older protocol, but it's still being implemented for Windows OS today. Then we're gonna also use server message block, SMB, okay? And SMB is used for communication on Windows environment, and there are version 1 and version 2, okay? So we're gonna look for this so that way we can find the system name. That's the goal, is to find the system name and SM or SMB or SMB2. So this is gonna allow us to filter some more. So you're gonna go back to your Wireshark, right? Go to and close this packet, go back to the filter bar, and you're gonna clear out. You can click the red X or just backspace, and we're gonna do NBS or NBNS, and then we're gonna type in an operator or SMB, right? Or SMB2. And then press enter or click the blue arrow. So it's going to now search for all the communication entry or the traffic that has SMB2, SMB, or NetBIOS, right? So that allows us to kind of look through it quickly. Remember that we're working with the IP address, the 10.0.0.149. That is the first clue, right? The second clue is now we're going to follow that address with the next protocol, with the next service. So we are going to see how there's an NBNS here. We're going to try to look at this packet and see if we can find the information of our computer. Okay. Okay, so here it talks a little bit about, you can click on the plus on the right side of the filter bar, and you can also enter label registration and press enter so you can filter a little bit more. So this is, if you click the plus here, you can add additional field to your filter. So we can type in like registration. I click the little plus on the right, and then I can click OK. So what we want is we want the name, right, that's associated with that IP address that we recorded earlier, the 10.0.0.149. Okay, so if you scroll right, you're going to see that there's some registration information. You see that it pops up the name already, right? The work for US. Okay. So I'm going to open up this packet so you can see, right? And you're going to go to the bottom where it says NetBIOS name service, expand it, scroll down. There should be an additional record. Yeah. And then expand the last part. So again, right, I'm interested in this information right here, this entry. Double click it, scroll, go to the bottom where it says Net BIOS, click the arrow to expand it, and then scroll down and you're gonna go down to additional record. You're gonna click that. And it tells you the name of the computer. You see the name of the computer right here. Work for US with the symbol. Okay, so that's gonna help you. Right, sometime it would be like a desktop, a workstation. Usually they like to name it workstation number. This is workstation and a number, right? And then the location. Admin, they like to do that. So it's going to give you the information about that system. Okay.
How about package 36? Get the same with the users.
Down here.
Yeah, 37 package 37. Yeah, that's the at the first.
Like right here.
Uh,
Oh, like this one?
Yeah. How about this one?
Yeah, if you expand. Oh yeah, so it should be desktop. Sorry. I might be. Yeah, so that should be a desktop. 37. Let me see if on the later ones. It should be the same thing though. Yeah, the same thing. But I think what it is it's seeing. So this one, because it's the same source that it's sending, but this is a broadcast. Yeah, so 37. If you go down. Yeah, it should say desktop. I'm sorry. I think I looked at the wrong packet earlier. I clicked on the SMB maybe.
I think it's good, yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
because I have a different packet than you guys. I don't know what version I have.
Did you filter?
Yeah, I mean, I have the same thing, but it's just, I have different IPs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what it should show your computer information. And it gives you the hint here, right? You should see desktop and an alphanumeric.
Is it,
Yeah.
if you were to move registration and just do UDP upstream, would they show you the same information?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to put the registration part. I think the registration just kind of narrow it down specifically for that. See how it shows up with the registration?
Just like
on-
registration, yeah.
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 And you can also get the name on the right side right here. You
Yeah,
don't
that's
have
where
to
it's
dig
at.
deeper. If you're using, yeah, so, but you notice that there are two. There's one that's a desktop and there's another one that's here, right? But I think that for the broadcast traffic, so the desktop communicate with this one. And then it also, we would also see the work for US, this one too. Yeah. But the desktop is the answer for that question. You don't need to install Chrome. Did you download your capture file already? Like, don't log into Canvas on that. Do you have Canvas on the outside computer? Okay, all right. So you're gonna click on this right here and download it. No, it's not. So you have to click the download symbol at the right, slow down. And then click download anyway. Okay, so it's gonna go to your downloads folder because that's what you use outside, right? On that. Yeah. Yeah, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna drag it to the USB. Wait, Hit cancel here. Go back one level. So go to downloads. Okay. Drag that whole entire folder. All right, now go to your virtual machine. Go to devices at the top. Devices. USB. And then Toshiba. So we're gonna mount it. So we're gonna transfer it based on using the USB. Yeah, so let's click on the Toshiba. Let's open up the drive. Open the middle option. All right, now it's this one, the fourth one. Drag it to the other side. Just drag it to the other side. Now you can right click it and you just extract. In fact, it's one of these. Now, when you follow the lab instruction, you just do this right. So, yeah, start with 13, okay? Yeah, and use the extracted folder, not the ones you downloaded. Other questions?
What is the when it says like desktop and it gives the name and then it has the or the signs and it says like 00 or 20. What does that represent? The 00 and the 20.
Yeah, just distinguish, like, it's still the same computer, but it's just entry, like, for it to tag the entry, like, you know. This was communicated from that same system, so this is just like a sequence, I think, for
It's
that.
like a counter issue.
Yeah, a counter for the actual system that was named. But you're gonna get either 00 or 20. It's still the same computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious what that meant.
And then you have the host announcement, right? Okay. All right, so next what we're gonna do, so you got the system information. Now we're gonna narrow down to Kerberos authentication. So as you know, Kerberos is a type of protocol that's used for authentication that use encryption in Windows environment. It can be used for other OS, but mostly in Windows. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clear out the filter here, and we're gonna type in Kerberos dot CNAME, and you can select the option or continue to type CNAME string. And then we can press the enter key or click the blue arrow. So what we want at this point is, because we already have the computer information, we want the credential, the account that's logged into that computer, right? Remember how on Network Miner, the part A, we got the desktop information, then we have to find Matthew Jones' credential. Now, this is not Matthew Jones though, right? But we want to find out like who's the user that's using that system, right? Like, remember what I said about the hacking case when we find a laptop? Once you have the image, you have to go in and dig in and find out more about the details of who's using that system. Okay, so what we want is we want to focus on the IP address that we started with, the 10.0.0.149. And this is a Kerberos protocol, right? So what we want is we want to expand that, making sure that we're going to look at AS REQ. Okay, so that's going to be for the request. So you're going to go ahead and double click that one. And then you are going to go down to Kerberos and expand the protocol information and expand ASREQ. Okay, and then scroll down. And as you go through, right, you're going to keep expanding until you find CNAME string, because that's what we're going to look for.
What's it called?
CNAME string. So you're gonna expand REQ body, and then expand CNAME, and then expand CNAME string, right? And it's showing me that it's still that desktop information, okay? Now, potentially, you can think about maybe it doesn't have an actual user account. Some system it uses a system name to log in to obtain services from the network, right? So we verify that it is that system, right? Because we use the NBNS to also find it. And now we're able to look at the credential access, and it also show us that. So again, right, I filter for CNAME string under Kerberos. I find the IP address, the 10.0.0.149, double click the packet, expand the Kerberos protocol, scroll down, expand AS REQ, and then expand REQ body, and then expand CNAME, and then expand CNAME string, and then I would find the full desktop name information here. So you want to record the CNAME string value, which is the desktop name. And then we're gonna now set the filter to a different thing, right? So once you have the CNAME string for step 28, we're gonna clear out the filter. We're gonna put in http.request. And this time we're gonna use the AND operator, so it has to find both. We're gonna do an exclamation point. So that's a NOT operator, SSDP. So we're gonna look for HTTP request and not SSDP. So we're gonna go ahead and click the blue arrow or press enter key. And it's gonna only give you 2 packets about. Okay. We're gonna take a screenshot at this point, answer the question, right? How many packets did you get? We have like these 2 packets after we applied the filter. And one, you're gonna see, I want you to, so I didn't just make you do this for fun, right? You would see the malware right here. Boom. You see the .dat? It's right here. Okay. Because this is the IP address of the requesting system. Remember how we tried to filter it earlier to narrow down and find our system, right? And it's doing a get. So whenever that you have a get in HTTP, that means that you are accessing that web page, and it's downloaded a .dat right here. Okay, you see it? It comes in, and so it's coming. So this is our victim, our desktop that we find, right? And this is the server that's giving it. So we have the public IP right here. Okay. And then you see the file right here, the .dat extension. Okay. So keep that in mind. Take a screenshot. We're going to do something more with that, right? You're going to look at the destination, and the destination, I don't want you to write this one because this is a certificate. It's a digital certificate. We don't care about the second packet. We care about the first packet, and the destination IP is where my cursor is. Okay.
So the file that I have is a .cap.
.cab.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So cab is a driver driven. DAT is a system base. You're gonna see most of the time they come together.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it usually, normally it likes, malware is written to capitalize on modifying your hardware or your software, right? So cab tend to be used for like driver manipulation. Okay. All right. Now what we're gonna do is once you record that, and again, right, you want to focus on not the digital certificate one, but the first packet. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we are going to select the first entry and we're gonna look at the frame. And if you take 48 with me this semester, right, I emphasize over and over again, what's a frame? Well, a frame contains your payload header, your file header, your file. So frame is where it puts the data into frame, right? To structure so that way it can prepare for the packet to be transported across multiple networks. So when I click on frame, right, it would give me information about when it arrives, right? The timestamp is right here. And in forensic, we care about timestamp to the seconds. So when did it arrive? It tells me that February 3, 2023 at 9:04, right? PST. Now, remember, we report everything in universal time, so you are going to have to convert that into universal time. Yeah. So you have to mount it. So click on devices at the top. So USB. Are you running your virtual machine from the USB? That's not. Yeah, you use. So now we can use this. Well, now it sees it on the outside. No, I think it could be the software, but this app called. It's like that. So this is not finding USB. Yeah, so this is a VirtualBox app machine. So what it's doing is looking for the address for this right here because it has to map it to the software, and it's not able. Yeah, I really think it's a software issue with this one. If not, we can just. We'll just check it. you know, start the applicants. So we need to see. And, you know, when you install the extension tool package for VirtuTotal, sometimes it doesn't read a certain piece of the package. It doesn't, so we this particular system. I see this after this meeting. So, yeah, you log into Kansas and Outlook. I think the email. Yeah. And then click the all apps and then you can go to click on Canvas. What's that? Did you try to log in? If the login is CIS27A. Oh, you're on the wrong location. You can switch computer, you just have to. Oh. So we're gonna go ahead and close this one. This one is still the other box, the 27 box. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and find the forensic one right here. And you copy it to the next one. I'm not the. Right. Because sometimes that prevents you from using the drive itself. So once that's done, open this up, open up the subfolder, and double click the blue icon file. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can also do forget password and no text you something. Yeah. Okay. If you're more comfortable with logging into Canvas, you can do that too. You don't have to log into your Outlook. But if you do Outlook, it will be single sign-on. Okay. So, making sure we record it as UTC, right? You can ask Google to convert your time from Pacific Standard to Universal Time. And then what we're gonna do is we are gonna follow the packet and we're gonna follow the TCP stream and we're gonna look for the server information, right? So the second packet, and it tells you right here, it says on the top pane, right click on the second packet in the result, and then you're gonna select follow TCP stream. Because HTTP is part of TCP suite, you're gonna right click, right, and then choose follow, and then choose TCP stream. It won't let you choose other stream because HTTP is TCP, right? So transmission control protocol, it uses this protocol suite. It's not a UDP, so you have to select TCP stream. So you're gonna click that. And basically, this is going to give you more details about like the information about the certificate that the servers issue. All the website that you have, that you access that's secure, you have to have some kind of digital certificate to be able to access secure content and establish the session. This is what you see there. Okay. And then, so it tells you to go through, look up the host name information. So we might have to go down and then find some information about the host. Let me see. So the host is right here. And then your agent, your user agent. So whenever that you see user agent, that will pertain to application or OS. So that's, like a service, or if the type of server it is usually user agent. But so if it's a web server, it will say IIS for Microsoft. So when I see crypto API, I already know that it is a digital certificate server. So you can just record this. And then it says some view the content disposition. You can also see the character value MZ. It cannot be run in DOS mode, indicates that Windows executable or DLL file. So when you see DLL file, that's dynamic library for Windows, and that would pertain to executable type of process that will be related to the malware, right? I wonder, let me expand this and close this. And you can follow the stream for any packets, actually. I'm looking at the first packet right now.
Where did you see MZ?
Yeah, I'm looking for that too. I think I might have documented this. So but the content,
Like sometimes it does show up, I don't see this.
yeah, when we look at the packet information. But sometime also, what happened? Windows see it as a thread and it hides it in the threat center. Let me go find out. So when you extracted it earlier, if it, so if it doesn't see, yeah, it didn't detect anything there. Yeah, if you can't find the MZ, it's fine. Let me check the second packet again. Right here. Yeah, so if you right click, so I basically went back and I did the HTTP request and SSDP again, and you just click the drop down. It has all your historical filter. So select the filter that you want to filter. I keep clicking, it's 2. Okay, press enter, and it's gonna bring you back to these 2 packets. Right click, follow TCP stream. And then you should see the MZ right here. I remember that it's near the end of the. Okay. Then you're gonna close that. What we're gonna do is we are going to export the file. And at this point, sometime Windows is gonna hide it away because it's a threat. So if you see that little pop-up, you gotta go to the threat center and allow it. We want to see the threat. Normally we want it to hide the threat, but okay. So we're gonna close this. We know that it's coming through as a file, right? So you kind of see a little bit of payload information. So file, we're going to do an export. So it tells you on the instruction that we're gonna do an export objects and then click on HTTP. Export object right here and then HTTP because it was downloaded from the web, right? Okay. So you see there's a .dat right here, and that came with the digital certificate certificate from the server that we just looked at, right? So these are the 2 affiliates packets. So this is the malware right here. Okay. So we're gonna click that, and then I'm gonna put it on the desktop so that way I can just delete it later. But you would want to put it into your case folder. So click save. And then let's say that we make a new folder or just desktop. Click save. We'll just put it on the desktop. See how, whoa, the threat center is all sounding off, right? Windows Defender is like, oh, I found a Trojan. So let's go to the threat center because it's gonna put it away. So search for threat and virus, and you see it's a crackbot. And you can try to find more information about crackbot and what it does. Right, the FBI had tried to take down the crackbot networks. Okay, so what we want to do is, if it doesn't show you here anymore, go to manage settings. Oh, sorry, I meant start actions where it says current threats or allow threats. And then why did it not see the threat anymore? Let me see. Yeah, so as soon as you see that threat message, or you can go to the threat center and you see it is a Trojan, you have to click on action and you have to allow. Because if you don't, it's going to make it disappear and then you keep having to export it every single time, right? Basically, you pull the malware out of the traffic, and then what you're gonna do is you want to see what that is.
So how did you, so I went to file, export PDUs or export packet?
Export object.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so so once you have the traffic that you need to export from, you're gonna go File, Export Objects, and then select HTTP. And then it's gonna give you this. The .dat is what you need. And then you're gonna click Save. And then put it on your desktop. Or where your folder would be for your investigation. And then click the Threat Center message. Allow, so click yes. And then on the action option, you're gonna click Allow on device. Because if you don't, like a few seconds later, it's gonna go away, but you can see already by the name. It's a Trojan Win32, so it's a Windows Trojan, and it's a Quackbot. So, allow on the device. When we're done, we're just gonna delete. We're gonna shut down the computer so it wipes the computer clean, okay? And then so once you do that, you're gonna open up your command prompt and then you're gonna enter, so the highlighted here, right? Just making sure that you have the appropriate file path and you're going to create a hash value. So I want to make sure that I have my file. I think it puts it away again. No? It probably did again. Yep. Yeah, so if it quarantines, go to your threat center. Yeah, I think just delete my Quackbot again. Export object HTTP. We're gonna save it again. Save. Okay, so it's in the Wireshark. So we're gonna go ahead and put it on the desktop. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna run the next command, which gives you need to take a screenshot. You are going to get the hash value, which you should include in your report. Then the last part is to go through VirusTotal. You're gonna submit the file to this website. So it's gonna tell you what kind of malware that is, right? So once you have the file, the .dat file, you're gonna upload it to VirusTotal, and it's gonna tell you what kind of malware that is. Okay. And then you're gonna be able to answer the questions. Then you're gonna learn how to do additional filter. Okay, let me go on. Here. Okay, let me help you to make sure you got stuff in the comment that. You got it already? Okay, capture. Well, did you extract it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then you just start with this. Yeah, each entry is a fact. Where it says destination, that's a. It will be the first one, the one with the .exe file. Yeah, it keeps quarantining my thread and it's blocking it, so I have to restore. See if it did put it back here. Close this. Yeah. So I had to go back to the threat center, and then where the threat is quarantine, where it says severe, I have to expand it and I have to click on action, right? And then I have to restore it to put back the file on my desktop because it's gonna try to see it as a threat and put it away. So once I have the file, I would then go to, I would then run this command prompt on command prompt. So close this. So to open command prompt, you just type CMD on Windows search bar. Make sure it's on the inside, the virtual machine, not the host computer. Cert util hash file. And we're going to put in the path for where our file would be. So once you do that, it generates a hash value, right? This is the value. You can screenshot this. You don't have to type out the whole thing for your, but in the report, that's the value that you're going to record for your report, right? Your professional report. And you always want to have a hash value for the file that you discovered, right? The artifact that you discovered. And then you go to, on the virtual machine, you can visit VirusTotal. And then you're going to submit the file. So on the VM, we can close command prompt once you have the hash. Open up your Edge. Go to VirusTotal. I think I have my tabs. And if you can use Chrome, you don't have to use Edge. And sometimes it does lag. Okay, so once you're on VirusTotal, you would find a way to submit your DAT file, and then it's going to tell you that. Now, the next part here, what you see is I teach you how to filter a little bit more. You're going to examine the TLS, but as you can see, right, Wireshark gives you a lot of capability to look at specific packets information. So you can filter out the destination IP, right? The server that's potentially is a suspect for distributing the malware. And because it uses the digital certificate to establish the section that's secure, right? Sometimes that is not questionable, but you can do additional criteria there. But so let's see. My website is slow to load. Why is it? Okay, so as some of you are done or almost done, right? If you're finished, make sure you shut down your virtual machine carefully. Make sure that we shut down the computer, remove our stuff, log off. You know, we should not leave any kind of malware traces around. Tomorrow, if I get an email, then we're in trouble. Okay. All right, so I'll continue this part, right? So if you get to VirusTotal.com,
Can we just put the hash, or do you want to set up a local file?
put the hash is fine. You can put the hash onto the VirusTotal.com, or you can upload the file. It will accept either or, right?
Why is this plain?
Yeah, so sometimes it doesn't see if it's not a hash that it recognizes, right? Then you can,
Upload the file.
yeah, put the file up. It's gonna definitely tell you it's a crackpot.
Or
Okay, so I'll keep on going with Wireshark so you can see. So malware post-infection activity. These are the things that security people needs to know. Number one, you need to make sure that you look at the self-signed digital certificate. If it has random values in the certificate issue field, that's a malware traffic. That should be a flag, right? So I put that information here for you. If it is directly to an IP address containing a self-signing certificate, remember you looked at the certificate information earlier? Like for example, like this, right? And sometimes it would spoof it with like a domain name like VIPsauna.com or something like casa.com, something kind of like random and common, right? That's a typical sign of like a setup Trojan. So that's also a sign. They sometimes use legitimate domain and infect that domain. So you would then need to make sure, and sometimes you would see an uncommon port 65,000. So that's typical now for a lot of the Trojans. So we would see the TCP port here. Okay. All right. So let's look at some direct traffic with IP. So we're going to look for this bullet. Okay. Using this criteria. I'll just close this down. And then coming back to my Wireshark, clear out my filter. Since we have some time, I will let you keep going. It's good to learn this. You can impress employer definitely on interview. So we're gonna do a handshake type again. And this time it's gonna be true. Equal 1 and we're gonna do a not TLS. We're gonna not include the handshake, the TLS handshake extension. That type EQ 0. And we're gonna filter. So now what you see is you still see that source IP address, right? But you also see a group of different destination. And then we're going to look at the endpoints. So endpoints are systems that are connected in the local area networks. It could be computers, laptops, devices, right? So we're going to go statistic, and you are going to select endpoints. And this kind of gives you the general information or statistic of the systems that are connecting, right? So IPv4. So you kind of have a summary of, you know, how many times certain system communicated, right? So you see the 5.75, it sent 4 packets. The IP address that we're interested in is the 149, the 10.0.0.149. It had 87 packets. Well, 87 packets under this category, but the total TCP packets is 53,000. So there's like a lot more. And then you would see other traffic here. So statistic kind of give you the summary, and it's a quick way to kind of look at. So how many IP addresses are listed? I have 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the IP address that's part of the internal network, the 10.0.0.149, that should be your internal network. So there's only 1. How many IP addresses are from external network or malware related network? So remember that we looked at the destination address earlier. You can refer to that. So that should only be 1. And then we would do the next filter for step 45. BLS.handshake. Type EQ11 and IP. You know, Wireshark has its own certification too, right? 32. Okay, so when you input this filter in, you would see that there's only 1 entry, right? And then you would see that there is it has a TLS. And then we are going to double click the packet. We're going to scroll down. I'm going to shrink it up, the frame information real quick. We're going to expand the transport security. This is the entire layer. We're interested in TLS, so that will be part of the transport layer in the OSI. And then we're going to scroll down. And what you want to do is you want to find the RDN sequence, which is, it's going to give you some certificate information, right? So okay, so when you expand, find the certificate, expand it, keep going, go all the way down. So you keep going, handshake protocol certificate. Anytime that you see certificate, keep clicking on it until you get to issuer. And here it is. So which website did it come from? It's going to tell you the common name right here. That's the domain information. And that's how we can see who distributed that malware.
So it's just
I'm sorry.
VirusTotal.
Yeah, it's a crackbot, but you can submit the hash. It did open on the inside.
Oh, that's it.
Okay, so go on the host computer. Type VirusTotal.com and just copy the hash. The hash, yeah. You're gonna submit instead of choosing that one. Yeah, the hash it might not find it, but you can try it. Just search.
Oh,
And then, yeah, with the file hashes. Yeah, it's 50-50 with the hashes, because if it doesn't recognize that hash or have a signature for that hash, then it will not detect it, but a file is guaranteed, and I don't want you to bring it on the outside buildup. But yeah, I know the virtual machine, after it gets the malware, it's gonna get a little bug. What's up? Yeah, did you export it? Okay, you have to select the traffic to export from, so the last criteria that you have, where's your Wireshark? Where's your filter? You filter the traffic. I don't see your traffic here. Where's your file? Where do you have them? Okay, so run the filter. Export it. Did you export this way? Okay, select that and then go file and export. That's the DAT is for the file at the top. Export object. You see the .dat, the first line. This is file name. Click on that one. And then save as. Save. Put on the desktop. On the left, select desktop, scroll up. Okay. So basically, the file is being downloaded from some system on the network, and we're gonna pull it out right now, right? That's a malware. See how the red, click on the red center, so they can. It probably put it, so your file is here, okay, that's fine. Now, we'll open up your Chrome and then go to. Oh, actually, run the cache. Do the next step. If it locks it away, then if this disappeared, because it sees it as a threat for me. Look like this. It's gonna put it away. So when you see that, because you see it as a malware, you click on the box and you put actually what you're doing. Allow. They're gonna go some SS forms needed, box it in place. That's why you're getting an error, because it keeps deleting it, and then your command is to find something that's deleted, so.
That hash worked for me.
Okay. Good. Okay, so now open CD. Well, run that now, it should work, if you just wanna make sure. Okay, run that command and see, it should work. Did it? Your file just got disappeared, okay? Something saved. Thanks. Good thing. Perfect. All right, so, yes. Now. So we wanted to look at the amount, so this is part of it. So, action. Okay. So see how the values are. Yeah, so that's you can screenshot that, but that's basically you generating a hash, and this has to be on the website or the file, right? So when you use the website, you use the outside computer and you just type in this hash and copy and paste it. I don't think you can copy and paste it, but okay. So if you can get to 50, I'm fine with that. Even if you don't get to 50, we're okay with that. But I encourage you to practice. But if you get to 50, 2 more steps and you're done. So basically, the last few steps kind of teaches you on how to find like the domain that distributed the malware, and then look for that specific port that's used to distribute the malware. And then you have to write a summary of your discovered information, right? The date and time. So go back to the earlier questions, the IP, go back to the earlier questions, the MAC address. I had you recorded all of this. So if you stop at, let's say 43 or even earlier, it's fine. Make sure you answer these questions, okay? I will look for these when I read your lab. So the host name, you already have that from earlier questions. The user account. F. So is there any follow-up activity for the malware? We did say that here, right? If you go to the lab, it talks about the follow-up here, the post-infection activity. So after you found the malware, what do? You have to find the server that distributed the malware, because we want to block that server traffic from here on out, right? So that means that the company that has this infection, their anti-malware wasn't working. It's not seeing this malware or the traffic. So we have to look at which domain, which .com is distributing it. So it tells you, you have to find the IP address of the server that's doing that. And then what do you recommend? Well, we want to make sure. So the follow-up activity would be find a domain, right? Block that domain, update your anti-malware, and then train your user, right? And so what did you learn about the malware investigation? Explain what you've learned. What's interesting for you. You learn how to use Wireshark to look at network traffic and use protocol filter to be able to determine specific traffic that is malware related. You learn how to export out a malware from a network packet from payload, which is cool, right? And then you learn how to submit that malware file to VirusTotal to be able to find what kind of malware that is. And this could be your real job every day. Right? I think malware is really interesting to me, and I would love to do it every day. But sometimes it is difficult and has a lot of headaches, right? Sometimes you have to reverse engineer because you can't just find information easily. If it is a new malware, it's harder. If it's like, this is a very common malware, so. But Trojan, you're gonna see, and then if you leave the Trojan there, your computer is gonna be slow, and then, but, okay. And then when we're done, just make sure we shut down